Hello. Okay. All right. Welcome to evening yoga. It's 7:30. So we're going to get started. Today's class, we're going to use a block in a whole bunch of ways. And it'll be a shorter class. We'll see what it ends up being. I'm thinking probably about 45 minutes. And so we'll use our block as a tool and as feedback from all different positions. And it will be a pretty just focused on functional movement. Hi, Candy. So grab your block and we'll start laying on our bellies and just have your block off to the side. I'm going to read a quote first before I lay down on my belly, but make your way to your belly, make a pillow for your forehead with your hands, and just let yourself get into your breath there. Just kind of notice the quality of your breath right now, how quickly or slowly it wants to come in, where it's going in your body. You're going to breathe in and out of your nose. And really bring your awareness to those lowest ribs. You might feel them against the floor underneath you. But also think about expanding out into your sides and up into your back. Let your back expand up toward the ceiling. So you're really breathing around the circumference, 360 degrees around the circumference of that diaphragm, the base of your rib cage. And really just let yourself get into your body in this moment right now. And I have a quote that I'd like to start with by Neil A. Maxwell. He says, "We need to concentrate on what has been called the holy presence. For now is sacred. The holy gift of life always takes the form of now. Always takes the form of now." So let yourself just be here right now. I'm going to join you on my belly for a few breaths. And you can start to turn on your Ujjayi breath. You can feel a slight constriction in the back of your throat. So you really hear that whispery ocean-like sound as you inhale through your nose. And as you exhale through your nose. And just let this focus on your breath keep you in the present, just one breath at a time. Find some isometric muscular engagements with our legs here as we lay. So find the backs of your feet on the floor, the tops of your feet, I guess would be a better way to say it. And push your feet into the floor and push your pubic bone down into the floor and feel your kneecaps kind of lift and push into the tops of your feet with all your might. And then just relax. And now push your pubic bone down and engage through your glutes in a way that really lengthens your lower back and the back of your pelvis. Feel like you're drawing your tailbone toward your heels. And then release that effort. We're just going to go back and forth there, just to kind of get some awareness of those muscles. Push into the tops of your feet. Engage. You can push into your pubic bone a little here. Engage the fronts of your legs. Let your kneecaps feel like they're lifting up. And then release that. And push into your tailbone. Really initiate the engagement from pushing your pubic bone into the floor, engaging your glutes, lengthening your tailbone towards your heels. And you can find some of that pushing through your feet. And then release. And now see if you can find both of those actions. So push into your feet with all your might, push into your pubic bone. So engage your glutes. You'll engage the backs of your legs. You'll engage the fronts of your legs. Really push into your feet. And then release. And kind of shake your bum from side to side. And bend both knees. Just windshield wiper your knees from side to side. And keep your right knee bent and just lengthen your left leg on the floor. Find that pushing into your pubic bone and push into the top of that right foot. Okay. And then feel like you're squeezing it. You could even take your block. Actually, just take your block behind that right knee and kind of squeeze your block with your right calf. And then lift that thigh off the floor and lower. Hello, hamstrings. And do that 2 or 3 more times. You're squeezing your block and lifting up, really pushing your pubic bone into the floor. And it might not lift very far. Try to keep your pelvis really level and lengthening your tailbone toward that left heel. Lift one more time and just hold. Cramping's okay. Breathe in and out of your nose and then release. You can grab your block out of the way and then just find your pillow for your forehead for another breath or two. You can shake your bum a little bit and just notice the difference from one side to the other. Okay, we're going to do that one more time. We'll do one more set on that right side. So bend your right knee and just kind of wedge your block in there. Squeeze onto this block. And if you don't have a block, that's fine. You just don't have the extra tension in your hamstring. And then you're just going to keep pushing into your pubic bone and just lift that right thigh up off the floor, any amount. So you're working on your right hip extension. Use that right glute. And it may not even lift up. So you don't want this to feel like crunching in your lower back. You're lengthening that tailbone toward your left heel. On your 4th or 5th one, this last one, just hold. 3, 2, 1, and release down. Grab your block out of the way. Oh, let that leg go. You can wiggle your bum. Lengthen, just feel the difference from one side to the other. And we'll switch sides. So bring this left block over. Squeeze into that left hamstring. Hold on to your block with that left leg. Push into your pubic bone and then lift and lower. Just notice if it's different on this side. Do 4 or 5. Use that glute. last one. Stay lifted. Push into the length of that right leg. Engage through that left glute. And then release. Grab your block out of the way. And kind of just rest, recalibrate. You can shake your bum. Okay, last set for this left side. Kind of wedge your block in there. It's harder for me to hold my block with my left. Okay, push into your pubic bone, push into the length of that right leg, and then lift your left thigh up off the floor any amount. And it may just happen in your imagination. So you're really pushing your pubic bone down, keeping this crunching out of your lower back. 3. Oh, my block's moving out of the way. 4. On your last one, hold it. 3, 2, 1, and release down. Move that block out of the way. You can wiggle your bum. Just rock it from side to side. And breathe into your belly. Really push your pubic bone down. And you can kind of lift your belly up off the floor. And then you can exaggerate your lower back curve by pushing your knees and lifting your pubic bone up. So we're just finding pelvic tilts here, laying on our bellies. And just take one more breath. You can move in that pelvic tilt. And then lift your head, look forward, and come on up into a sphinx. And let your chin drop down and just start to feel some stretch through your upper spine, through that cervical spine. And then you can rock left ear to left shoulder, and then right ear to right shoulder. And go back and forth a couple of times there. And then lift your head, lift your gaze, look forward. And you can have your elbows forward of your shoulders. Just kind of feel what feels good for your lower back. Okay. The amount of extension. But then let your shoulders kind of sink, or your neck kind of sink down into your shoulders. Your shoulders come up towards your ears. Draw your shoulder blades together on your back, and then push into your elbows, lower your shoulder blades down. So now you're going to push the floor away and lift. Let your shoulder blades come wide, and now sink back. Draw your shoulder blades together, push elbows into the floor. So we're just making some circles here with our shoulder blades on our backs. Shoulder blades wide, let yourself sink down, shoulder blades together, push the floor away. And then let's reverse. Okay, so shoulder blades together, pushing the floor away. Let your retracted shoulder blades come up towards your ears. And then let your shoulder blades go wide, push the floor away. Draw them together and let yourself sink. Let your shoulder blades come wide, push into your elbows, and with your protracted shoulder blades and the floor pushing away, push into your pubic bone. Draw your chin towards your chest, and then kind of draw your sternum back towards your spine. So let your upper spine round. You can let yourself round here. Lift up your lower ribs, lift up your belly button from the floor, and then drop everything down. Feel like you're dragging your elbows back as you present your heart forward. And then go again. So we're just doing cat and cow movement here on our bellies. One more. So just really getting into that thoracic spine, your rib cage spine. And then grab your block between your hands and just lengthen it out in front of you. So you'll come all the way down onto your belly. And it may help if your hands are kind of all the way off, like your arms are all the way off onto slippery floor, or at least not on your slippery mat or your sticky mat. So pull in, just connect this with your breath in a way that makes sense. Just slide. So you're going to feel like you're sucking your arms back as you slide your hands back to lift yourself up, and then slide yourself back out. Now only lift up as feels okay in your lower back. So find that really pushing down into the tops of your feet. With straight arms, just slide that back, that block towards you. So you're pulling it back toward you and then lowering down. Just do 2 more of those. Pull back to lift your head and chest and lower down. And then pull back, lower down. Find your length here, push into your pubic bone. You can lift both legs and then squeeze your block with your hands, lift both arms. Grab onto your block with your right hand and just swim it out to the right. Bring it back by your sacrum and then pass it off to your left hand and come around to the front. Oh, I've got shelves in the way. And then just switch sides. Hold it in your left hand, go around and pass it off. Find length in your lower back and just go side to side. Let's just do one more. Pass off with your left. Forward with your right. And then lower down. Make that pillow for your forehead with your hands. Breathe some space into your lower back. And bend your knees. And just let your knees flop from side to side. Release your hands, lift your head, walk your hands underneath your shoulders, push yourself up into a table, and find your block and put it on its highest height. We're just going to come to kneeling and bring your right forearm to your block. You can hold it. Hold that forearm still with your left hand, and then make a fist with that right hand. And then really extend through that wrist. So take those knuckles toward the floor and then curl it up, flex through your wrist. And just go through those 2 motions a couple more times. So we're going to keep our forearms still. Okay, next time you can flex in, and then we're going to push over toward the pinky edge and then down into extension over to the thumb and then up into flexion. So you're making a circle here, a really slow circle, keeping your forearm still. And just, feeling all of the crunching that might happen there in your wrist. And then switch directions, go out toward the thumb edge first and around. And then release that and shake your hands out. And then the other side, just left forearm face up on your block and then hold it still. Find that fist with that left hand and then extend that wrist and then flex it in. And try to keep your thumb kind of sealed over those fingers in your fist as best you can. Just finding that extension as far as you can get it and that flexion as far as you can get it. Let's do one more. Flex. And then find your circle toward the pinky edge and then down into extension out toward the thumb edge and in. And with that right hand holding your forearm still, you'll feel all those muscles in there working. But try not to let your arm rock as you roll or in your rotations. Okay, now go through toward the thumb edge first. And go really slow here, really using your muscular strength to go through the full range of rotation in your wrist. And then release. And just shake it out. Bring your block kind of toward the top of your mat. Find yourself in a table. We'll do some really slow cat and cow. And sometimes this just seems like you're not doing a whole lot. It doesn't look like we're doing a whole lot, but it is so important to get our spine on the map of our brain. And it can be really hard work. So we're just going to try to move one vertebrae at a time. And we'll start at the very base of our spine. So tuck that tailbone under, your sacrum under, and just think, okay, now I'm going to move my lower vertebrae one at a time. And just think one at a time is reaching toward the ceiling. So feel that lower belly and just let your breath be natural through this whole thing. And you don't need to move one breath, one movement, maybe just one breath, one vertebrae. And push the floor away. And once you get your whole spine in flexion, we're going to move into extension from your tailbone. So untuck your tailbone and let your pelvis come into a forward tilt, anterior tilt, and then just find some movement in your lower vertebrae and your middle vertebrae, and then up through your upper back, and then look forward. And now slowly go through that on your own, just thinking one vertebrae at a time. So if I was there with you, you can imagine me just walking my fingers up your back and just touching those spinous processes on that you can feel of your vertebrae, just one at a time. And just always starting from the bottom. I find this moving into extension harder to do one at a time. So last time, untucking, finding your extension, and then pause here in your extension and just notice what's happening in your belly. And just let your belly expand. And totally relax. And see if you can let your pelvic floor completely release and relax. And find that diaphragmatic breath. And see if you can feel the relationship of your diaphragm and your pelvic floor as you breathe. Now, find a neutral spine here. So we're going to let our pelvis level out. So you can imagine we could set something on the back of your pelvis. Natural curve in your lower back. And then let your shoulder blades be pretty broad on your back. as you root down into your hands. And we'll find our hip cars here. And what we're going to do to give ourselves some feedback is take our block, and if you have more than one, you could even stack them. And take our blocks alongside your leg that you're not moving, and just bring them right up against your hip on that side. So I'm going to move my right leg first. So I'm going to stack my blocks here along my left side. And this is just so that we're moving just from our hip and we're not leaning out to the side. We're not letting our whole body get involved. We're just going to use just that hip joint. So lift that right knee up off the floor and bring it in towards your chest. And then bring that knee out to the side without leaning to your left and knocking your block over. And then find some internal rotation and then lengthen up toward the sky. And then bring your knee back into your chest. And then switch. Lift that heel up toward the ceiling. Knee out to the side, toward your armpit, and into your chest. Okay, just one more in each direction. Knee to armpit, knee out to the side, heel to ceiling, knee to chest, and switch. Now, if you knock your blocks over, you know you're using more than just your hip to create this movement, right? And then release. You can kind of sway from side to side a little bit and then set up your feedback blocks on the other side. Just bring them right alongside your other leg and let it be pretty close. So you can have one or two stacked there. Bring that left knee into your chest. Now, if I lean to the right to move this leg out to the left, my blocks are going to fall over. Another way you could do this is right up against a wall, right? So you feel yourself touch the wall. That's another option. Okay, bring that left knee out to the side. Internally rotate and then reach it back. And then knee to your chest. And then switch back, out to the side, in. All right, knee to chest, out to the side, back. And last time. Feel the ceiling, out to the side, into your chest, release down. You can find some pelvic tilts there. Move your block off to the side for just a second. You can tuck your toes and just push your hips back towards your heels and then come forward. Find a neutral spine, okay, and feel like you're sending your tailbone toward your heels. So we're really working on finding a hip hinge here. So we're not flexing through our lower back. So try to maintain your lower back curve as you push your hips back towards your heels. Just do that one more time, and then we're going to use the block as feedback. So find your block, and you can start at any height here. And if you don't have a block, you could go grab a paperback book. Could also be fine for this. So you can start on the lowest height and just do that same thing. Lean your bum back towards your heels, trying to hinge right at your hips, okay? At that hip crease, and then come back. So we're maintaining that neutral spine as we go. Pushing your hips back. And if that seems fine with the lowest height, you can go to the middle. Go to the middle height, and you've got it balanced right on your sacrum. Okay. And you're really going to have to feel like you're untucking your tailbone, and it may even feel like you're really exaggerating your lower back curve to maintain that block level as you push back. So we're really working on that hinge in our hips here. And then if you want to get fancy, if you've done that a couple times, you can try the highest height and try to maintain that block without falling. It may fall toward your back, it may fall off. Just see how far you can go without tucking your tailbone. Oh, there it falls. So just try that, play that with that a couple times. It's tricky. I can feel it wobbling. Last time. Just pushing those hips back, trying to keep that neutral spine, maintaining your lower back curve. Ah, there goes my block. And then come up to kneeling. Shake your wrists out if they need it. We're just gonna, actually, I want you just to hug your block into your chest. So give it a little hug and kind of round over it. And then kind of twist toward your left. And then you can lean back and then find some extension. Feel like you're sending your tailbone towards your knees. And then come over to your right and then curve over your block and come forward. So go that direction one more time. Just kind of rotating through your thoracic spine using your block as a snuggly feedback pal. And then go to your right and then lean back and to your left. So small movements, but it really helps you get into all those little muscles that stabilize and mobilize your spine. And then just release your block. Step your right foot forward and just set your block down for a second. We'll do the shoulder rotation with your left arm. So start and kind of reach that left arm across to the right side of your body and let your palm face up. Okay. And then reach up. Try to keep your rib cage forward. Reach up, find that extension overhead as far as you can. And then when you can't go any further, find internal rotation of that arm and then circle back. See if you can find as much extension here as you can. So try to, I'm leaning, try not to lean forward, just really reach back. And then the back of your hand will brush your hip, the side. So lead with your thumb, your palm is facing out, reach that arm back. Find that shoulder extension as far as you can. And then as you're ready, rotate to reach up high. And then turn your palm to face behind you. And then rotate that shoulder until you come with your hand in front of you and let it cross your body today, outside that right leg. So let's just go that slow one more time. Reaching back like you're high-fiving the back wall and try to keep those low ribs dropped down. So your rib cage isn't moving your shoulders, just your shoulder. And then find that internal rotation. Reach back, find flexion as much as you can. Oh, I can't not lean. And then come back with the back of your hand. Come. Lead with your thumb, reach back, and find your rotation. Come on up. Palm face up as you come forward. And now we're going to take our block on our hand. I'm going to face you. And you're going to hold it just like it's a tea tray. Okay. And just find some external rotation and then some internal rotation of that arm. Just do that a couple times. And then we're going to get fancy. So find your external rotation and let your arm kind of go out to the side. And then bend your elbow and bring it in and see if you can take that block past your rib cage and send it back behind you. You can lean here. So you're just trying to keep that block level and then reverse it. Bend your elbow, bring it in, circle around, come forward and out to the side. So I'll turn this way so you can see. So try it again. You can let your elbow come out, circle it back. Right, we're talking about being in the now. Right, with this feedback of the block, you can't do anything else. Now, see if you can bring your block forward and find some extension. You'll have to extend through your wrist. Try to keep your block level. And now turn your hand so your fingers are pointing towards your right. And see if maybe you can find a circle here. And move your arm, internally rotate, and come back into extension of your arm. And then bend your elbow, bring it back through, and come forward. And now just play. So hold this block on your hand and see what you can do as you swirl your block around. You can lean as much as you need to. You can swirl it up, around and through. And just do that one more breath, or make sure you are breathing. And then release your block. We're going to find our tandem kneel. So just see that your knee, shin, heel, and toes are in a line, and toe heel that right foot. Actually, just keep a hold of your block. I shouldn't have had you put it down. So grab your block. And we're just going to bring our block up to our left shoulder and then twist to the right. And come up to the left and twist to the right. Chop it down. And you're going to be pretty wobbly. And just enjoy it. Last time. Just hold your block. You can toe heel that right foot out and then come to standing. Let your knees shake out after being on that left knee for so long. We're going to work on that hip hinge again. Okay. So just bring your block kind of straight into your rib cage and remember what it was like to balance your block on your pelvis when we were on hands and knees. You can soften your knees and really send your tailbone back just to come level. Okay. And try to keep those lower ribs in without rounding in your lower back, right? We're sending our sitting bones back and maintaining that lower back curve, and then come up to standing. Soften through your knees, really send your sitting bones back and just come so your spine is parallel with the floor. And then come on up. This time you can just let your block hang. Find that hinge at your hips as you fold. And then you can let yourself round when you get down. Just step your right shin back and come into that low lunge arrangement on the other side, and we'll find those shoulder cars with your right hand. So palm face up and cross over toward that left side. And then lift but keep your rib cage pointing straight forward. Lift your arm so you're high-fiving the wall behind you. And you can use your hands on those low ribs so you're not finding this extension through your spine, you're just moving through your shoulder. When you can't move any further, you can find that rotation. Internally rotate, reach back, flex through that shoulder, and then drop down. Lead with your thumb. Find that rotation, swim it up. Palm face up over towards your left. Last time. Up. Rotate. Reach back. And then reach back. Rotate up. And then reach over toward that left. Find your block on your hand. And just balance it. Or paperback book would work fine. Out to the right. Externally rotate. And then internally rotate. So you're just like serving tray out to the right, in toward the midline. Do that a couple times. And then we'll go out to the right and then lengthen out to the right. And then you can bend your elbow and circle that block past your rib cage, past your baggy shirt. Reach back. And you can lean here if you need to. And then come back through. And try to have a flat palm here out to the side without gripping with your fingers. So you can find that circle again. Reach it forward and then extend through your wrist. Lower ribs down, reach up. And then you can turn your fingers out toward the right, around toward the left. And then reach forward, find that internal rotation of your arms. See if you can circle around. You can lean however much you need to. Bend your elbow and bring it back through. And maybe do that again. And then just let it be free form. Oh. And see if you drop it, that's totally fine. Just feeling all of your responsive muscles and all of your ability to rotate and feel your body in space. Just find one more swirl there. Hold on to your block and toe heel that left foot in line with your right knee. Bring your block and just hold it between your hands up towards your right shoulder and then twist to your left. Up to your right shoulder and twist to your left. One more time there. And then release that down, toe heel your foot out, put your block down and come back up to standing. Just gonna do one sun salutation. After we've done all of that really fine motor control work, let's just feel a sun salutation. So inhale and reach your arms up high. Just feel the freedom in your shoulders. Let your lower ribs drop down. And then exhale. Find a little softness in your knees so you can recruit those hamstring muscles and send your sitting bones back. Find that hip hinge. Just remember what we were doing on our hands and knees with that block on our sacrum. So find that hip hinge and fold. When you get down to the bottom, you can really let yourself bow. We're just going to hold here for one more breath. Inhale, halfway lift, look forward. Exhale and fold. Soften your knees enough that you can plant your hands down and just inhale back to a plank. Now, shorten that space between the top of your pelvis and the lowest ribs. Push the floor away, let your shoulder blades protract. so they're wide. Feel like you're pulling your hands towards your feet and your feet toward your hands, and then pull the floor towards you to come all the way down onto your belly. Untuck your toes, push the tops of your feet into the floor. Just float your hands up off the floor, engage all those muscles in your back, push into your pubic bone, plant your hands. Feel like you're dragging your hands back to inhale and lift your heart into a cobra. Tuck your toes, come up through table, and send those hips back. Find that hip hinge, and then exhale into downward facing dog. And just let this really feel like the peak culmination of your practice. Just feel all that preparation in your spine, your pelvis, your shoulders. And feel the responsiveness of your hands on the floor. And find some external rotation of your upper arm bones. Really deepen your hip creases. Soften those front low ribs in. And then bring your knees down to the floor. Untuck your toes and make your way to child's pose. And feel your belly expand against your thighs. Just really feel the energy in your body. And feel the awareness of your spine. And feel the depth in your hip creases. See if you can find that 360-degree breath. Expanding your rib cage in all directions. And you can think of the container of your belly with your diaphragm as the lid. Your pelvic floor is the bottom. Got the cylinder canister of support for your lower spine. And feel the coupling of your diaphragm moving and your pelvic floor moving with your breath. And lock your hands in towards your knees. And set yourself up for end of our practice, either laying on your back or finding a comfortable seat for a seated meditation. You choose. If you're on your back, it might feel really good to do legs up the wall today, or, bent legs, bent knees on the seat of a couch or chair. Those are really subtle, focused on fine movement practice. Really focused on the stability at our center and using the feedback of that block to keep us in the present moment. that thing that we were balancing and juggling. But with our focus and our practice, our juggling and balancing gets more skillful. And through it all, we just practice increasing our awareness and our capacity, our ability to move each vertebrae, our ability to breathe in the most functional and expansive and supportive way. Our ability to see clearly what's in front of us. And give it the attention that it needs. Attention is love. And love is our clearest lens. It's the way that we see things as they really are. And attention is presence. Just return to our quote. We need to concentrate on what has been called the holy presence, for now is sacred. The holy gift of life always takes the form of now. And that's the gift of our body and our breath. Our physical body can't be anywhere but present. Just rest in that presence. Noticing how your breath just comes and goes on its own. You can direct it or you can just simply experience it. It's the periods of our focused attention and effort that can help intentionally create the patterns that we want to be our default programming. So those spinal articulations, that hip hinging with the block on our pelvis, with our attention, helps to program our whole nervous system, that neutral spine with integrity is the default program we want to install. Right. And our practicing is like pushing the save button on that. And feel free just to stay in your meditation or your laying down or legs up the wall for as long as you have time. And when you're done, make your way to a comfortable seat. And bring your hands together in front of your heart. The divine light in me honors the divine light in you. Namaste.